So now a little Bedouin boy throws a brick into some hole, and then something knock like a goblet or a jug or a vase, and he brings out these documents and say he found them in there. They're lying. They stole it. They stole it. They always knew that South Africa is not a rainbow nation, it's the kingdom of Judah. And they always knew that Jerusalem is the expanded city that went right up into Zimbabwe, right up into Zambia, and right up into Namibia, including Botswana and South Africa, a massive mega city. They always knew that.
So here is where Beersheba is. You are still showing us. Please zoom in.
Yeah. So this is Beersheba, right? It's in the Zulu land.
Answer the question. Do you remember the question?
It's a question about what made me...
No. Do you believe in the Bible? Welcome to Something Nice with Dinano. I am your host, Dinilo Shanga Mekuto, here on this platform. I go by the name Dinano the Mano. It's another interesting episode of Something Nice with Dinano. And today I have a guest whom has been requested by many people who follow the podcast, Mdala. I'll just call you Mdala because I'm struggling with your name. Welcome to Something Nice with Dinano, sir. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, my brother. And I'm pleased to be here. I've been looking at some of the shows. They were recommended to me. I listened. And I'm happy to be here with you today to share some of the experiences that we in the diaspora are having, and our brothers and sisters on the continent. I was born Robert Headley, which is my father's name, given to me. And I've since changed my name, and it's doing the same in the diaspora, where we're changing our names back to reflect the names of our ancestors and brothers and sisters on the continent. I'm originally from the country in the Caribbean to which my ancestors were taken, Guyana. My mother's ancestors came from Sierra Leone, and my father's ancestors came from Mali. And so we were those who went out in the transatlantic slave trade and became Christians. Being a Christian, I've attended Bible school and graduated and did all the works, you know. And so I'm not fly by night. I'm here, and I've, well grounded in all the faiths before denying them. Thank you.
All the faiths before denying them. Are you denying your faith, which I would assume is Christianity? You'll correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, when I was little, my mother dressed us, waiting for her to join. We put on a little white brief, a white vest, a short trousers, and waiting to get to church. So we went to church every single week. My mother was a Methodist, but one thing she drilled in me, she said, God is very real. She would say that from time to time. And so I grew up with a consciousness that there is a creator. And so I embraced him very early, reading her Bible and going to church. But as a Christian, became a Christian at a very tender age, just around 15 or so, reading our Bible, just finished the upper part of the government school, we used to call it back in the day. And I began to read her Bible, her King James version of the Bible. I like the King James version because it contains all the perversions in its correct state. You see, the others try to change. You see, the others
I like how you put it. You say it includes all the perversions, while most people that have been coming on the platform say it actually is the most original. So you differ a bit.
Yeah, the original, it's the most original of the perversions, you see? And so because King James translated what he saw, it makes it easy for when you're ready to upturn what is written there and you make reference to the King James Version, everybody will have a copy of it. Everybody's not going to have NTL and all the others, New King James and all of that. They'll have the original version authorized by the Queen. The Queen is authorizing us to read this book. So when I read the book, the children of the Queen get upset as well, Because they
Mm.
say, how are you reading it that way? That's not how we were taught. You should be reading it. But I read the same book. Mhm.
Give us a background, Mdala, of where you come from, your experiences as a young Christian in the Methodist Church. The Methodist Church is a bit special to me. You know, people tend to be touched or have things that resonate with them because of where they come from. Half of my paternal family is Methodist. Most
Okay.
of my maternal family is Seventh day Adventist. My
Okay.
dad went to an Adventist school, but he grew up a Methodist, and he had a hard time when he told his father that he was leaving the Methodist church. His father was not happy with him when he was the one that actually sent him to an Adventist school. But tell us about your upbringing in the Methodist, and maybe any fond memories that you remember and how it shaped the person you have become today.
Okay. You see, and because my mother was a Christian and a Methodist at that, we went to the church, and we look forward to going to church every Sunday. You get to meet people, you get to sing, you get to clap your hands. In this particular Methodist church, we used to clap and sing, you know. I remember the minister, I was baptized in the Methodist church. Um, Reverend Mitchell was the one that baptized me, and then I had my baptismal certificate as a child. It was so funny that that I was 1 month after my birth, I was baptized, or offered up, what you call it, dedicated in the Methodist Church.
Okay.
And I ended up using, I was born in January, but this happened in February. And I ended up using the dates on the birth certificate, on the baptismal certificate, as against the dates on my birth certificate. The first time I saw my birth certificate is when I go to write the exams, because that's kept
Wow.
separately, you know. And
Mm,
so
mm.
I was celebrating my birthday as the 23rd of February every
Which was the
year.
day you were baptized, or
Yeah, the day I was baptized on, right?
what
Instead
was it
of
called? Because it's called differently here. Baptism is ubaptizo in my language, but a child that is dedicated or that
dedicated,
it's
dedication.
it's called uphehlelelo here. So it's a different
Yeah, but
meaning.
they still put baptismal certificate on the
Oh, okay.
document. What
Okay.
is the dedication, right? When you were offered up, as they would say it in the Methodist Church, and Reverend Mitchell, I think he came from England as well. But years after he left, and there was a young man that came. His name was Heliger, and he changed things up, that everybody, all the young people, wanted to go Methodist church now, because now you're able to clap and you sing. You didn't do the formal hymns alone. Now you're clapping and you're singing, and it became a more livelier place. But then later on, I was coming home one day, and there was a crusade, and it was Assemblies of God's crusade. And again, this man was Heliger, right? This was now David Heliger. It's these ironic things that happened. You're making me to reflect on them. And brother David Heliger was the preacher. Yeah, he spoke with a little list, and they had this massive crusade set up on the Karakara playground there in my town, Linden. And I listened, and I was right up at the front of the altar, where I was giving my life to Jesus Christ, and I was crying and for all the sins that I've committed. I'm just about 14, 15 now, yeah. I don't know how many sins I've committed, but I just knew that I just need to be saved. And so I gave my life to Jesus Christ, and I became a Christian. And then kind of immediately I wanted to go to Bible school, but they said I was too young. And so I persuaded, and they admitted me into Bible school. I think I was just the youngest in the Bible school at that time. I think 16 plus, going on 17, somewhere there, right? I had to stay there for 3.5 years, you know. And then I was given the pastor's trouble, because I keep asking them these questions. I want to know, why can't I see myself in the Bible? Why is there no black people in there? Because I asked the dean of the Bible school, he's late now, may his soul rest in peace, Pastor Basil Smart. I said, Pastor, who are the Jews? He said the red-skinned people in Egypt. And I said, then who is everybody else? Everybody else is Gentiles. I said, but Pastor, when I'm reading the genealogy in this story, I'm reading me. I don't know how, but I just feel that this thing is talking about me, you know?
Were the
And
pastors and the people at the college, the leaders at the college, were they people like me and you, or were they Caucasian
yeah,
people?
yeah. No, they were Pastor Smart was black. Everybody, all the teachers were black, except for on occasions. One, I remember the man that taught me the book Spirit himself, Pastor Milton J. Corsten. He came from America and he was speaking on the Holy Spirit, and he taught us on the Holy Spirit. He had actually written the book on the Holy Spirit, the Spirit himself. and and so, but the other ones, Pastor Garraway, I got a book in there by Pastor Garraway when I was molesting them about questions. He picked the book up and say, "Look, take this book and go and read, and leave us alone." You
What
know,
was that book?
the book was the it had Adam and Eve. Is it the Gospel of Adam and Eve or something? The teaching of Adam and Eve, and it had this two people on the cover. Let me see if I can. Did I pack it away? I probably did. But it's sat on the shelf here. It's going to powder now. It's the pages are crumbling now. But it's something to do with the Gospel of Adam and Eve, and it told you a different story to the Genesis version of the Adam and Eve story and so on. But it's thick and it got all them Bible books inside as well.
There's
And so they
something
give
interesting, Mdala,
mm,
that you said. You said you were asking them these questions because you had asked them who are the Jews, and they
yeah,
had said the Jews are fair-skinned people that are in that part of
the
the
land of
world.
Israel. Yeah.
But you are against that because you say you saw you in the
Yeah.
scriptures.
I'm
Please
feeling
elaborate.
me.
Elaborate on
Yeah.
that. What does that mean?
You see, while I'm reading, and because I developed a love for the genealogy, I didn't know why then, but I mapped out from Adam right down to Jesus and all of that, on with writing it out with my hand. After reading it, writing it out, because I took fascination to that. Because when we were in Bible school, when we were reading this part of the scripture, and he begot this one and that one begot that, we actually used to skip them over, right? People never went through and Abraham begot Isaac, and Isaac begot um, Jacob, and Jacob begot Levi and Simeon. You know, that was kind of boring to many of us when reading it. But somehow I took a liking to this thing. And as I began to read this thing, I'm beginning to feel a kind of connection with these people. So what happened is that my great grandmother, who lived 105 years and died in Guyana, had sold herself into slavery to come and find the children, the little ones that were taken from the shores of Sierra Leone. And that was told to me by my eldest brother. I think when he died, he was 70 something. Um, so between my grandmother, my great grandmother, and my mother, we've got nearly a close to 200 years of history, because my mother lived to 88, my grandmother lived to 97, and my great grandmother lived to 105 years. All right. And so that little bit of genealogy, plus what I was having in Bible school, seemed to have left me in a position where there seemed to be an interest in genealogy. And so when I came into this awakening, that's fast forwarding, I seemed to be focusing a lot on the genealogy. You see, my eldest, I got a very elder cousin, we're first cousin because we're two sisters' children, or a mother and a brother children. Ezzy, and he probably is listening. He'll listen to the show anyhow. I'll send it to him. He sat me down and he will be talking to me about genealogy, about my grandmother, my great grandmother, and all of these people in that county.
What's their name? Did you say Ezi or Azi?
Ezzy is short for Ezekiel. His name
Okay.
is Ezekiel, but we
Okay.
call him Ezzy. But the leeches. So my mother would sit me down and say, look, the leeches, the Crandon, the Benjamins, the Harkers, and she'll reel out the Carlets, she'll reel out a whole set of names, surnames. She said, you cannot have relationship with those people. Don't worry with those names that they carry. They're all leech. They're all one people. They
Okay.
came to one man's plantation, but they married different people. So they carry those names now, but they're
Mm.
direct biological relatives. And so this little bit of information is, if I ask my brother, I sat him down one day, he's in Canada, and we're having this conversation, and he said, these things you're talking about, I don't know nothing about them. Nothing at all, I don't know. I'm hearing for the first time. It looked as though my mother was putting this on me. You know, it's the kind of lady that you can go. I was just talking about her today again. I talk about her every time. It's a lady that you can go to and say, Miss Jean, you know, them by saying so so so, the children saying so 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 on the road. What is that? And she say, come, sit down. She put you in a chair, to sit down, and she'll explain everything to you. So I never had a fear of learning from the streets or anything of the sort. I can bring it home. It don't matter what it is. If it's a swear word, whatever it is, I can come home with it, and she's going to talk to you and put you on the right side and say, no, this is what they do, but this is what you could do
Is she
because you
still
don't.
around, Miss
No,
Jean?
no, no. She passed. She Miss Jean passed
Mm.
about 12, 14 years ago now, and my brother passed the next year after her. You see,
Why do
and
you
so
think? Why do you think Miss Jean, who's your mother, correct,
yeah.
told these things to you when you had this brother, this other brother that said, "I didn't know anything about these things."
I guess my sisters will say the same, you know. But it looked to me, you know, because she talked to me in a way, I don't know if I was listening to her or understanding and paying attention, or maybe I was asking questions or something, but she would talk these things in my presence and I can remember these things, you know. I even heard her making, using the word, a place in West Africa, oh gosh, begins with D, Diomi. She used that word Diomi, right? And I can remember her saying, but can't remember clearly what was she talking about. And so after I decided about 15 years or so or more ago, I decided to do my DNA test, yeah? And then when it comes back, these words are coming back to me that she used. Where did she get it from? In the conversation with maybe her, with her mother, and with her, she would have met great grandmother, you know? But she never talked about great grandmother. But my elder brother, which is her eldest son, he spoke to me the year before he died about great grandmother. And so to me, I was being prepared for something. I don't know how it was. I remember another occasion, I was in this school where I'm a teacher by profession. So I was in a multilateral school there and they were throwing away books. And I was rubbling through the books, you know, rummaging through opening books. And I remember picking up a book and I remember the sentence I read in there. The history of the Hebrew people ended and their descendants, the Jews, began. A statement that is the only thing I could remember from this book. And then when I grew up and I come to Bible school and say, but how do you end the history of a people and they're still around? And that
So it
question
says. So it says the history of
of
the
the
Hebrew
Hebrew
ended.
and the descendants, the Jews began.
Hmm.
But these are different people now that I come to the understanding. Yeah, that's why I spend a lot of time investigating this thing. And they're different. They're not the same people. So did somebody end our history and presented a different history now as they are the people, and then we are not the people?
Now you're saying you're giving this statement of Hebrew and Jews, and then
Yeah,
you are somehow slotting yourself in, saying we. Who is we?
yeah.
Who is you?
You
How
see,
did you get to that?
when I look at the Jews, I can see who the Jews are. So whose history did they end? The history of the Hebrews ended, the Hebrew people ended, and their descendants, the Jews, began. No, if you read a statement like that, how do you understand the depths of this story? So you can imagine the search and the digging that I've done. That's why I insist, don't call me Hebrew. And the first book I wrote, um, Scattered but Not Lost, right? The front of the cover says, The History of the Hebrew Israelites, right? And a
Mhm.
short chain that is being broken and so on. I designed everything there myself. And I published this book in 2013 and I left it there. It should be edited now with the new information, which I would do in time. But this sent me on a, a chart, a course of searching and searching and searching and investigating in a very forensic way. And so, you know, when I'm teaching on my show, I offer the evidence, and very few people come back from that evidence. Um,
Wait, you I want you to tell your story nicely for me.
yeah. So
You
I'm
went to
flowing
Bible
through.
school. Hold on,
Yeah.
Mdala. You went to Bible school.
Mhm.
What did you learn in Bible school that propelled you or that
Okay.
led you to where you are today?
Okay. Let's go back to Bible school. This is an Assemblies of God Bible school. I'm entering there virtually as a very young adult, age 16, somewhere there, right? And then I'm getting in there for 3.5 years, and I'm going to study all the books of the Bible. Now, this is a Bible school. All the books of the Bible, the geography of the Bible, right? All the peoples of the Bible, right? And then I'm not seeing me in there as part of the people of this book, like I said. And so I'm going to graduate from Bible school. My message was, Watchman, what of the night? So I'm a watchman. And now you're going to, because you're a Christian, you get, you juxtapose between Israel and Christianity. You're Christian, and because you're Christian and the children of Israel in the Bible, and then makes you connected spiritually to the Bible and to the people, never knowing that you were the original and they were the counterfeit that faked the history. You see? And so while I'm in there, graduated as a valedictorian student. That year was the best graduating student. Given to me is my Thompson Chain Reference Bible as part of the gift and a little cup and so on. I delivered the valedictorian message. I went out to be a superintendent of Sunday school of the Assemblies of God there in Retrieve. For those who will ever hear this, they will know that I was the superintendent of Sunday school, but I started off as a Sunday school teacher, right? Then I moved up to the head of the Sunday school. I became the part of the leadership of the Royal Rangers, which is like a Cub Scout kind of organization. And then I moved into evangelism, um, became teaching and preaching, became a missionary, going into the Amazon there among the Amerindians, teaching this gospel, walking through the jungle alone, 12 miles without nobody else but me, because I have the confidence in this thing I'm going to teach.
Deep
When I
in the
reach it,
Amazon jungle.
yeah, in a place called Malali, up the Demerara River, 65 miles up into the river. When you go there, you see nothing but trees and Amerindian people.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm there, right? I remember this particular incident when they took me up. There was a problem between two groups of people there. Don't want to call their names because the surname is still around. And I went up there to see if I can bring peace and bring them back into the fold and so on. And so they took me up with the boat, and then I need to come back down to get the Sunday service, right? And they can't bring me back in time, so I decide I'm going to paddle. Yeah,
Mm.
I paddled and I paddled and I paddled. I never knew that the boat I was paddling in, and they will know what I'm talking about because when they saw the boat, they say, wow, you know, it's called a wood skin. They beat the bark off the tree and they bend it into something they call back there a wood skin boat, like a canoe, right?
Okay. Okay.
If the boat go down, that's the end of that boat. It don't float, you know. I didn't know that, of course. And so when they couldn't bring me, I left out but 9 o'clock in the morning. I probably reached back to where I was going 9 o'clock the night. I remember crossing the forest road 9 o'clock the night. When I reached over there, I just dropped. No strength. I was just sitting with my foot pushed out and I'm paddling and going through every turn I turn looked like the same turn,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
and was miles, was in over 50 miles, I guess. Papara was over 50 miles, I guess, from Malali. But I did this thing because I believed in this thing that I was doing. I married some of them, I buried some of them, I do the funeral for some of them. And I remember I began teaching again in that location because the the um the headmaster there was an Adventist man. He was Amerindian as well, and he wanted to go down to the town, and he asked me to hold the school for him. Right? So I was running the school. Well, the Ministry of Education never knew that. I was running the school until he comes back. And then he said, "You want to work teach here permanently?" I said, "No, it's fine. I just did that because, you know, um, so that's a little breakdown to my life. And then I left Malali come to Ituni, which is 36 miles away from Linden. And then I come back home to Linden. And all this time, I'm now a graduate of the Bible school, working in the bauxite industry. I started working in the bauxite industry as what you call, I'm going to use a big heading for it, cartographer, a cartographer, which is a person that is responsible for maps and so on. There are several of us, right? But my role, my elder brother I told you about, he was a geologist. So he worked upstairs where when the surveyors go out and they drill the ground, they will bring back the contents from the drill. And you see layers of soil, different sand and different clays and different rocks and all of this. And he would do the analysis of those stuff. But one of my duties was to put that data onto the maps. So your contours, I used to plot how much feet of this, how much feet of that.
Okay.
Never liked geography when I went to school. I like history, but not geography. But I didn't know why I was doing this thing. Until this awakening, then I began to see why I was paying so much attention to the geology. So when I was now reading about these guys from Europe, these Jewish guys that went to Palestine to do the survey of Palestine, to bring about the thoughts of Josephus, the Jewish historian, to map out the New Testament into that Levant to show that these biblical locations are here, right?
When is this happening? When did this happen?
This is bringing me closer to the awakening now, right?
No. What you're relating to when the Josephus and these guys go into Palestine to remap.
No.
Yeah, when is this happening? So that, many of us don't know these things. We know what we know because of where we come from in terms of our Christian background. But now you are preaching or educating black re-education, right?
Yeah.
You are re-educating us
there is a
on
little
the things
story
that we
before
don't know. Let's go to that story.
Story.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to the story with Josephus, yeah?
No. I'm saying it's fine, but now I'm saying just give a background. To the story. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to come to the story of Josephus eventually. But no, so I'm coming to Botswana. I've recruited to become, I've taught in several schools in my country. I've served in several capacities in my country. I don't want to highlight educational achievements, really, but I come to teach in Botswana now. And here am I in Botswana. And I'm living in this space, and I'm beginning to behave in a certain way, befitting of what I used to be back home. I used to be a politician back home as well. I was involved in politics, part of a community, was like the central executive member of the party in that region. Yeah. Okay. And so those are some of the things I've been doing. Didn't know I was being trained, but I did them. Anything I get with my hands, I do it. I'm very practical. I teach design and technology, or what you might call industrial arts back in the days and so on. And so I'm coming into Botswana to teach for TSM. I'm teaching in Sepepitso in Kani in Botswana there. And then leaving Botswana, after 2 years serving them, I come to England. Now, my father was living in England when I was a little boy. My father left to come to this country and lived here. But my father went back home, he died, and so on. I have a sister here and some nephews and so on here and so on, and brothers as well. But I come to England, and then I began to teach in England at several schools I've taught in this country. But it came to the point where an injustice was being done to some 17 students in my class, and I reported it to the head teacher, thinking that she was going to correct it. I didn't know that she was part and parcel of the whole game that was being played. And so they decided they're going to go for my jugular. They're going to destroy my career.
What is this injustice?
Yeah. So this 17 boys, we're teaching parallel classes. Yeah. So I've got 17 students, and another new teacher that they brought in had 17 students. This is 2018, 2019. Now, my students the previous year, I got 77% passes, and the first A star in that school. They never had an A star in the school. Mind you, when I was in Botswana, I produced lots of A stars there. But this school is for the first time in their history getting A star. And it came after they dismissed two teachers before me, my head of department, and another European guy, and I took over their class, which was resistant materials, and I was teaching it. But I'm a graphics teacher, all right. But they get the best grades. So with this boy coming in now, there's a bar that is set now that this man got this percentage. You got to either get close to it, or it's not going to look right that we have employed you above him. Now he's a younger boy than me, but I'm black, you know, and this is England. I'm black. All right. So they decided they're going to reduce the grades of my students so that his grades could be above, so that when the exam comes, it's going to reflect. Yeah. And the students saw, because you got to submit the grades and you have to tell them. And the boys in the other class were talking that they were never near to where my students were doing, but they decided to down the grades. And because I complained, and I reported also to the National Exam Board, right?
Mm.
And there was an investigation. They decide they're going to dismiss me. They're going to do everything. And they did. And boy, that is where I learned the deviousness of this system. And so when I speak with the evidence, because I had the evidence, I had the documentation. But these people were able to switch that story, even the story of my book, to the point where I was called anti-Semitic, homophobic, and you name it, I was labeled for destruction.
So they
And
used the
so
book that you had written as
6 years
part
ago,
of the case against you in
yeah,
dismissing you.
and never mentioning them 17 boys. They never come up for mentioning. One time, one time they came up for mentioning, and the person that questioned it was another black guy. He was on the panel of the teacher regulatory body, right? Now this is documented. It could be proved, it could be checked. Now he said, when I said, how is it that this story is about me? Even this cabinet that you see in the back here, they took this cabinet and they had it in their posters draped with LGBT flag. I don't know how they get to do it. It's not
Mm.
from in the house, but they did it, and they labeled me. But the black man said, 17 boys that failed their exams. He said, I want to know about this. He never appeared again on the panel. Never appear on the panel again. They get rid of him. They change a judge, right? And you know who the people were that was investigating me? Them same people, when I tell the Right Reverend Basil Smart, when I was in Bible school, when I asked him who were those people, those same people were the people trying me. You know what the lady said to me? In
Mm.
document, I got the documentation. She said, you're a danger to British society
Why?
because you are claiming that you are the children and that Africa is the Holy Land.
What brought about these ideas? I'm laughing because there was a story here of our president, Cyril Ramaphosa, who someone was telling a story in parliament that when he got arrested by the security police, he said these guys were bringing communist ideas to him. They were trying to pollute his mind. What polluted your mind? How did you get to that position?
It's strange, yeah. This when then I, when we talked the first time, you said that a lot of people have come on your show, a lot of religious people, Bible believing people, and they have so many different beliefs, and they all talk like it's God talk to them, you know, and that is what is important to me, you see, and so I don't think that I wouldn't say God talked to me, but He guided me into situations. Because I asked him when it happened, I said, Father, I I did everything right. I walk with you, I teach your word and everything. This can happen to me without a reason. I fly. I fly. I just know where to walk. I didn't get into the people's way. I went to school. None of them knew who I was, really. Nobody knew that I was very high up in politics in my country. Nobody knew that I was the assistant coordinator for national food form examinations in my country. Nobody knew that. So I know what a fraud looked like when I'm seeing it. I know what it looks like, you see? And so when I reported it, and because of how I conducted myself in this country and the schools that I've taught at, they knew that there would be an investigation. So not only I reported it, but the boys also wrote the exam board. And the head teacher was thinking that I wrote the exam board and I reported as the boys, but the boys did themselves, right? I knew that they did, and they reported, and I reported. So two sets of people, and there was an investigation. So you say, I know that when she said I'm a danger to British society, I knew what was operating in her mind. See, they actually engineered a rabbi onto the school board for the appeal. They engineered another of them to chair the meeting of the initial investigation. The lady that investigated me, she was one of them. Yeah? And the solicitor that operated for them, he was one of them. It was something to sit down and watch. How they have positioned themselves in society and how they took form of the narrative. And that is what helped me. Because hadn't I gone through that process, I would not have known what happened in that Bible. Like I will show you going on from
Hold
there.
on, Mdala. Let's leave this conspiracy to get rid of you.
All
right? What polluted your mind? How did you get to that position where people were labeling you as someone who has a polluted mind, who is not fit or who is not right for the British community?
No, I've been teaching in England for over 20 something years at that point. I've taught at prestigious school and everybody wanted me. When they took me, they knew that I was impeccable. They used to bring children for me to counsel them to get them into the right space if their behavior is deviant. I was outstanding and I knew it. They never knew why. I remember one lady saying, "Why do you sell yourself short? Why don't you talk of who you really are?" I said, "No, I just come here to teach." See, so the pollution of the mind. I became polluted when I discovered that the children in the Bible, when I was writing that book, I questioned it and I put the question in the book. This story of Esau and Jacob becoming a supplanter and a thief of birthright, but God still loved this supplanter. I said, I'm coming back to talk about this because it's not sitting right in me. So I was raising the questions, even I'm writing the book, carrying the narrative that we were given, but I was questioning it. How could this creator love this evil one that is thief and birthright and, just dressing up with all kind of camouflage to pretend that he's somebody else? It is the pretenders writing that story. You see, it was the pretenders that was twisting that story, and they have continued to do it up to this day. And so that's why I say to my Hebrew Israelite brothers, I've never been in a camp, but I identified then as a Hebrew Israelite. I said to them, all you need to do today.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Before you identify, you say this story, Jacob and Esau, how it is written and how we interpret it today. Are you insinuating that it is not how it is? It is told by people who have an agenda?
I'm not insinuating. I have evidence. I don't make no statement without evidence. That Esau is the secondborn and Jacob or Jacob is the firstborn. How did we get to read that Esau was the eldest brother and the younger brother robbed the elder brother of the birthright? Because that's cultural. That's African culture. But it's been twisted to reflect those who are now telling this narrative after they took possession of the documents. I see them taking possession of my book and twisting my statements. You see? So you got the twisted story in the Bible about Esau and Jacob. Esau.
Okay. Do you believe in the Bible?
Well, you see, the question that you just asked me is a question that is relative, meaning that I believe in the Bible for as long as it speaks the truth. but there are some statements in the Bible that are not truthful because of who handled the Bible. So I wrote my brother, I wrote you a letter, and somebody intercepted the letter, removed my name and put their name inside of it, and then you then received that letter. Do you believe that I wrote you?
I'm laughing. I'm smiling. I had an interview with Bishop Joshua Mapong.
Okay.
I asked him something similar about Constantine, whatever council these guys sat on. Someone was saying it's not the Council of Nicaea, the Bible canon, whatever council might have decided which books stay here and which books were taken out, how we ended up with the Apocrypha that is not always there. And I said, this person intercepts a love letter from your parent, from your father, addressed to you. They take it, they edit it, they take some parts out, they blank out these parts, they change it here and there, and then they close it, they reseal it, and they say, love your father. And they send it to your address. My question is, who wrote that book? Is that where you're also at?
You know, was I there?
Where you were?
Come next to me. Come next to me. Come next to me on the camera.
Where you were?
Was I there? Was I there when you were talking to Joshua?
No.
No, I wasn't there. But I was there because it happened to us. And that's why we can talk like this. A letter was written to us. Another people pick up that letter, inserted themselves inside, change what they wanted, and then they bring it to us. Is that letter authentic?
I still have that question.
For as much as it tells us the part of the story that we can identify and relate to spiritually, culturally, yes.
Carry on, Dal.
You see, the reason is this. In the story of Esau and Jacob, there is a culture, there's an African culture there, that there are two boys born to a father. One would have been born first and one would have been born second. Why did somebody change the one that was born second interchange them? One that was born second made him first, and the one that was born first made him second. What was the agenda? What was the purpose of doing that? Somebody is intended to deceive somebody, and then they played out the whole story to make it look real. But you know, in African culture, that don't happen. I am the firstborn. You don't make me crown prince, that's fine, but I am the firstborn. You don't get to change that. And more so in the African languages, sometimes there is a word that means firstborn. And when that word is used, the European twisting the story might not know why that word is used and might continue to use that word. Had he known, he would not have used a Kobe anymore. He might have used Joseph.
What is that word? What is that word?
For example. So here is the word Akobi and Jacob. Now, before the J was made and added to the Hebrew and the English, Akobi was there, and it means firstborn. Now, I've got to search too in the Yoruba language. How did we come to this? You know, there was a sister among us, and she was from Yoruba land, and we were there's a group that we have that we call the scribe group, and we were figuring out how this changed and what is the real name. And so you'd see words when you try to do this academically, you're going to see words like Jacobi, Jacobi, and all kind of words and all kinds of spelling, right? And so while we were there, I thought, and I said, let me ask these people. I said, and I call her name, which I wouldn't call here. I said, what do you call the firstborn in your language? And when I said that, her face lit up. And she said, Akobi. And the answer came. So when I said this thing is not just an academic exercise, this awakening, it is spiritual. You have to connect with the Creator and with your ancestors. Every time I sit on this chair, I'm conscious of that. I don't sit down here without knowing My chair faces the south, yeah, which is where the real Jerusalem is, yeah. And so when she said that, there was a brother from South Africa. He was a member of the scribe group. He's still there, right? He's a doctor, and we all sent out everybody. You go research and come back and bring back this information. And when I asked her, and she said this thing, and the face lit up like that, he said, "Wow, a Kobe." And so where do we have evidence for that? It's written in the Bible that he is the firstborn, and we missed it because
So are you telling me that according to the story in the Bible, Esau is the firstborn, right?
yes, according to the story presented, yes.
Now, are you basing your theory? I'm going to use these words because of the ignorance I come from. Are you basing your theory on the translation provided by the example of the Yoruba with the Agobi name?
Not just that. I'm giving you biblical evidence where he was called the firstborn. Why would the Creator do that? Why would the Creator know that Esau is the firstborn and then call him Kobe the firstborn?
Let's go to the scriptures. Now, I like it now. We are going to the scriptures, but I don't think you answered my question.
I want to make sure I answer your question first.
Answer the question. Do you remember the question?
Is a question about what made me...
No. Do you believe in the Bible?
Well, when you say belief, I said all of that to say, when you say belief, in as much as the Bible has not been changed, which is the Bantu scrolls. The Bantu scrolls are the documents that our ancestors wrote down or documented. It was not intended for deception. It was a transmission of culture and behaviors and spirituality to the children of those people. Somebody picked that up and twisted it. So what they've twisted, you call the Bible, we call the Bible, and its various translations cannot be as authentic as the original Bantu scrolls, which is now called the Dead Sea Scrolls. You see?
Okay.
And so we have no access to them. And so, in as much as the Bible, and it's going to be unfolded more and more, because you never hear and never read in the Bible that Africa is the Holy Land, you never get to know where that Holy Land is.
I want to say, do you believe in the Bantu scrolls? You say we have no access to it. So how do you know that they contain what we need to know?
Because the evidence is in their book, the Hebrew translation or concordance and the Greek concordance, which is called the Strong's Exhaustive Bible Concordance. And I never give you the history behind that book yet. That book document, they had to write down the changes that they have made. And therefore, I go there to their document, and it shows me the changes that they made to the original Bantu scrolls.
You say we have no access. Are you saying the Bantu scrolls are the same as the Dead Sea Scrolls?
The Bantu scrolls is the Dead Sea Scrolls. Move from Qumran to Qumran, from the kingdom of Judah and Jerusalem, where you live in South Africa, and taken now to the Levant, where they're going to retell this Bible in a space where it never happened. So now a little Bedouin boy throws a brick into some hole, and then something knock like a goblet or a jug or a vase, and he brings out these documents and say he found them in there. They're lying. They stole it. They stole it. They always knew that South Africa is not a rainbow nation, it's the kingdom of Judah. And they always knew that Jerusalem is the expanded city that went right up into Zimbabwe, right up into Zambia, and right up into Namibia, including Botswana and South Africa, a massive mega city. They always knew that.
Wait, let's dig deeper into these scrolls. You know what I found fascinating? I think now I'm going to have to go to my Google. I don't know if you trust Google as a...
For as much as they won't change.
Okay. You know what's fascinating to me is that the beginning of apartheid, taking away the identity and trying to destroy the identity of black people and just making them less than human in South Africa, corresponds with the establishment of that country that is known as Israel.
1948 May.
1948, yes.
Apartheid
When were,
101, South
yeah,
Africa. Apartheid 102, the Levant, Israel.
yeah,
Same time,
same
same
year,
time,
ne?
same people.
When did these Bantu, Qumran,
Took place.
Dead Sea Scrolls take place? When were they discovered? When did this boy throw
So,
that thing into that vase?
right. So now, if you understand that the invasion of 1884 onto the continent by Europeans was not the first invasion, then you understand that South Africa, you call South Africa, the kingdom of Judah was presided over by a Roman governor named Pontius Pilate. He was the ruler of Judah. When Judah gets changed to Judea, that the story is now being told in the Levant, in Judea. But Judah is the son of a Kobe. And imagine Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor, sits on the south side, let me call it the south side of Jerusalem in the kingdom of Judah. Presiding, who was he presiding over? Who was this European man, this Roman European presiding over in South Africa? Bantu. Bantu don't know this. That's why there are lots of people in South Africa on the show, and they connecting with this conversation now because everything in the Bible that you see scattered in the fake land of Israel is in South Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa.
Wait, Dala. We're trying to connect the dots. We can't bring in this new knowledge in big chunks. We need to break it down bit by bit. Hence, I'm trying to maybe I'm a bit delusional. I'm trying to connect the dots here, right? And here's what I'm looking at, because I asked you, South Africa, apartheid state, established in 1948.
48 May
Israel, apartheid state, established in
1948 May. Is it a coincidence?
I don't know. I'm asking you. But now there's this interesting thing that you're bringing up of the Qumra. People will probably laugh at me, people who are from the area where I'm from. The Qumra scrolls, who are said to have been discovered in a place called Qumran. When you say Qumra, when were these Bantu scrolls, which we know as the Dead Sea Scrolls, when were they discovered? Do you know?
I can't
When did
remember
this?
the exact year.
Let me show you
I
something.
wouldn't.
Let me show
Go
you
on.
something. Can you see? Can you see my screen
Yeah,
there?
I can see your screen.
The Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered by the name Bedouin, whatever the name is, shepherds in 1947.
1947. The 1 year before they showed up there to create the state of Israel. Yeah. Could you understand? You see, my experience in England, seeing them twist information, lets me know that that's how it twisted. You see, so you go there and you pretend now that these things have been found here when you know you stole them from the location. I will show you how they stole it or when they stole it.
When I first heard this thing, it was crazy to me. The Bantu Scrolls being the Dead Sea Scrolls, it was crazy to me because if it is true, as you claim, that they were found not in Qumran, as it is said here, near Qumran area on the northwest shore of the Dead Sea. And we know this to be that area, so-called Middle East. A lot of people question the name of that place. But now you are bringing new information, saying these scrolls were not found in Qumran, but they were found in?
Kumka. I can't click like you.
Yeah, okay. So the white people call it Komga, Komga, because they also can't click like you. But
Yeah.
where I come from, we call it Qumra.
Uh-huh.
Qumra. So it's Qum. It depends who you talk to. So it's Qumrha or Qumra without the H before the A. So it's either RHA or RA. And it looks similar
Let me
to
write the
this.
word down. Let me write the word down, please.
It looks similar to this,
Okay.
but
K.
now without the M.
Spell the last one you spelled for me. K.
Okay. It's Q,
Q, sorry.
U,
Which is K. U.
M,
M.
R,
R.
A,
A.
which could be Qumra, right? That's the name of the place.
Could you look at the word?
Or it could be RHA.
RHA.
Yeah, so it's Qumra RA
No.
or Qumra RHA.
Let me say this to you for the first time. I'm looking at the word. I've never seen the word before, yeah? So I'm looking at the word Qumra or Qumrha.
Yes, sir.
Yeah? Could we move a couple of letters from here and move them around and get Kumka and Qumran?
No, we can't. But the white man, when the white man got there, obviously they can produce the Q, just like Q, the way we, as Amaxhosa, Amazulu,
Yeah.
and the Ku and the Kwe, which would be your people
Yeah.
called the Nama, the Hrikwa people. I don't even
The
know why they
Hittites.
are called the Hrikwa.
They are the Hittites of the Bible.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
These people have those click sounds. We are told, I don't know. I'm trying to get a gentleman who has done a lot of research in the Xhosa speaking world, in the wars. You know, one of the longest running wars is said to be the resistance of Ngqika against the British. It's called the 100-Year War, where they were resisting the British colonial rule. Try to reach out to him, he's not coming back. Anyway, the reason why I'm going there is that these are the people that have these cues. The Xhosas, Amazulu, Yongunis, but we are told, I don't know how true this is too, that we got these strong click words or letters from people that are usually called the original or the natives of this land where we are at.
You're talking about the Kwa and the San.
Yes.
Deliberate.
That's what the white men call them. I don't call them that. I call them the Ku and the Kwe people, or the Nama, the Krikwa. They have different tribes. Sorry, carry on. You say
and it's not by
deliberate.
mistake. Yes, it's not by mistake, you see. Because you don't know that history, they are putting you in a situation where, like they said, because I follow South African politics, yeah? They say, if we're going to give back the land, we're going to give it back to the Khoi and the San, right? Because they're the original people. Because you don't know that the Khoi and the San is the Hittite of the Bible. And they will tell you, as a Hittite, they're in the lineage of Canaan. And that's why they came from the east. Every Khoi and San will tell you that their ancestors come from the east.
East being roundabout which
East
region?
of Africa. You know,
the Horn?
going towards Egypt.
The
going
Horn?
towards Egypt on the east side.
The Horn?
West side, yes, the Horn, going up there. In the direction. They're the family of Canaan in your Bible. King David had Uriah the Hittite, or the Khoi and the San, as his 5-star general when he had the story with Bathsheba. This is the same people, but you don't know that history. So Britain again twists history to create division. Your first president, Nelson Mandela, is a mixture of Khoi and Bantu.
A lot of people don't know this. How did you know? A lot of people don't know this. And it's so evident if you look at his features. If you look at his features, the high cheekbones, the small eyes, but the height throws...
president.
Yeah, but the height throws it a bit off because, you know, the Khoisan people or the Ku and the Kwe are supposed to be short. He's tall. But now, if you look at his clan name, I think in his clan name, there's something called Mqiti, if I'm not mistaken. People will correct me if I'm wrong here. But that Mqiti also somehow suggests that he has this Khoisan, as you say, lineage.
He's got to have it. You see, because the whole thing was to deceive the world concerning who the original people of so-called South Africa is. Who is the original people of the kingdom of Judah? It was the Canaanites that came up there south first, and then Abraham followed the Canaanites into that space and was friends with the Canaanites and lived in Cape Town or Capernaum. You want to prefer that. right?
This is
And that is
absurd.
the
This is
story.
absurd because now you're talking about things that we don't know.
Exactly.
I hate using this term. I'll play devil's advocate. I've heard these things before. I did not really get them from Tato. I had a lot of questions. But
No, yeah.
now I hear Tato has been learning from what you are teaching.
Yes, that's why he said, come to Black Way Education TV, the source.
Teach us. Where
So,
do these
so now,
ideas come from? Where does this pollution of the mind that you're bringing forth come from?
you see, when David came up south, right, it's because Abraham was up south, his great-great-grandfather, and because Issachar was up south and lived in places like Zimbabwe, and with Abimelech who lived in Gaza in Mozambique, long before there was a Gaza strip in that fake location in the Levant. There was a kingdom of Gaza that stretched from Mozambique right up into Zimbabwe.
No, Mdala. You're talking about
Hey,
Gaza and you're saying Mozambique and you talk about Zimbabwe, which is not in the Bible. Let's go to the scriptures. Take me
no,
somewhere.
not scripture yet. Not scripture yet. Let's open the map first.
Okay.
Let me take you to Google Map
Okay.
and show you the remnants of the kingdom of Gaza.
Okay.
Right. So
are we going to Google Maps?
Yeah, I'm on it. You need to put
okay.
my screen up.
So okay, I'll share your screen then. All right.
Okay. So this is Zimbabwe, yeah?
Yeah.
And we're talking about this place they call Mozambique. You see it? All of this.
Yeah.
Well, the kingdom of Gaza, biblically, was ruled by Abimelech. Abimelech was a king in the lineage of the Philistines, not the Palestinians. You see, those two words, they play with them. And you think in Palestine and Philistine is the same. So I'm going to type it in here because we can still do that.
Do you reckon it won't be long before we can't?
Yeah, I print the screen already so they can take it off when they're ready. See? Why am I being brought here? Why am I being brought here?
Maybe the algorithm knows that when you search for that, you
No,
go
no,
in
no.
there.
I didn't write that. I can't write that. Put it up back there. I can't write that. The province, the king, the Gaza province, Mozambique. You see the red that they highlighted?
Yeah, I see.
And then I push it out and keep pushing it out, and it tells me the red highlighted is Gaza province. Why is there a Gaza in this area? How old is this Gaza? Is this Gaza old and the Gaza strip that they created and we're talking about and it's being highlighted and everybody here, oh, the people in Gaza, the Palestinians. This is the Philistines, black people.
How do you prove this?
How do I prove it? Sorry about that.
Yeah, how do you prove it?
No, there was a BBC program by a lady that goes all over Africa. I think she was financed by the BBC. And
she's
she goes
Somali looking, right? Tall.
I know. And her. She wears a hat.
Yes, I know her. Yeah. I know her.
Mm. She did that show on the Kingdom of Gaza, right? She did it. I did use it in one of my shows, but like I said, I don't use people's videos in my shows because I don't want
copyright strikes.
Me about copyright, yeah. But this Bible tells us that Abimelech was king of Gaza.
Let's go to a scripture. Let's go to a scripture quickly. Can we do that?
Abimelech. Just give me a minute here.
So the word Gaza is in the Bible.
Yeah.
Abimelech in the Bible.
Yeah.
According to the Bible. Okay, this is now Google. I don't know how confident you are on Google.
According no, don't worry about that. Go on, read.
Was an extremely conniving and evil person. He persuaded his mother. Okay, it's just telling us about Abimelech. But we want to say Abimelech and Gaza.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm asking.
Yeah, well, I got it. I got the scripture, the biblical on there. You got it there. Genesis. I see you got something Genesis and Gaza there.
Do I?
I got it in Genesis.
Okay.
If you put my screen up, you'll see it. So verse 10, chapter 10, verse 19 of Genesis says, and the borders of the Canaanites, can you see that?
Yeah.
And the borders of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as thou comest unto Gerar. Now, that is the word for Harare, right? Wait,
Okay,
I
okay,
got the proof for that. Don't worry. But let me keep the one that you still know.
Wait.
Gaza.
I need to take notes now because I'm gonna have to. If we forget something, I'm gonna ask us to go back, right?
Yes, please.
Guerrera. No, but it's not the first time. I must say, it's not the first time that I hear that Zimbabwe
Is involved.
Is in the Bible. But now it was called something else. Ziphe or something like that. But there's a place that was spoken about that was said to have a lot of gold. And people were suggesting that.
Ophir.
Oh, is it Ophir? Okay. But you're saying
King
Gera.
Solomon Mines.
Yes.
Gerara. You could put the verse down and you'd see it. Genesis 10:19.
Okay. Cool. I'll trust you. Yeah. Let's carry on. So you're saying Gera is Harare.
That is Zimbabwe. Part of yes, Harare. Right? You see? And it says, this is the Canaanites. The important there is the Canaanites. Now the Canaanites included the Hittites, which is the corn son. He's in there as a Canaanite. The Hittites speak with a click. All the children of Canaan clicked when they spoke. That's why the Issacosa people clicked, because they're influenced by the Hittites into whose land they went to dwell. And lots of the Issacosa people are children of Nguni. I think I did it right today.
Try to say it right.
Nguni.
No, the Xhosa.
It's difficult.
No,
it's why I
can't.
resisted Setswana.
Okay.
I resisted Setswana because I couldn't roll my tongue and say, Dumela ra.
Okay, yeah. So that's why they have these clicks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're influenced by the Canaanite language, right? That's why the Issacosa is clicking and the Zulu clicking, because they're all children of one son of a Kobe named Naphtali, right? They're the children of Nguni. I show you all of that in the Bible. But here is it, Gaza. You see Gaza there?
I see Gaza. It's written so many times. So, okay.
All right. So, Gaza,
Philistines. Okay, so in 47:1, right? They talk of Philistine there. No, it's Jeremiah 47:1. Go down. There you go.
Yeah. The word of Saninani that came to Jeremiah the prophet against the Philistines before Pharaoh smote Gaza. All of this happening in Africa.
Okay. The Philistines. Who are those? And after that, I'm going to say Pharaoh, this must be referring to people in Egypt. Pharaohs are from Egypt, right? Are you telling me those people from Egypt are ruling over this southern kingdom of Zimbabwe, and they are traveling that route and that length and that breadth to rule over these people down south, instead of ruling over people in the so-called Middle East?
No, here. The people you see in Egypt today are Arabs who have been put there. The front of Egypt, the front of Tunisia, the front of Morocco. They're Arabs, Berbers and Arabs who were put there during the Ottoman Empire, right? Those countries have been repeopled. That is not the original Egyptian.
No.
The original Egyptian looks like me and you.
I'm not there yet, Mdala. I'm not there yet.
Okay.
Jeremiah 47:1. Can we go to that scripture?
Yeah, I've got your Jeremiah 47:1 here.
Jeremiah 47:1. It says, the word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah the prophet against the Philistines before the Pharaoh smote Gaza. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we are going to go with my understanding, and then you will tell me where I'm wrong and you will correct me. The Pharaoh smote Gaza. Now I'm assuming that the Pharaoh is ruling over Egypt as we know it today, which is on the northeastern side of Africa.
Yes.
Are you telling me that he is dealing with people on the southern part of Africa, almost 6,000 kilometers ago, when it is said there he smote Gaza? I'm assuming now you're referring to this Gaza, which you've just showed us. This Gaza province in Mozambique, which is probably about 5,000. I could be wrong. which is probably about 5,000 kilometers from there. Are these
We
guys
can
ruling
measure that.
over these
We're going to
guys?
measure it. We're going to measure it, right? We're going to measure that. But yes, that's what I'm saying. So who was Pharaoh? The Pharaoh was ruling over Egypt. And who was the Pharaoh? He's a black man in the lineage of what what we teach as Japhet, the lineage. You see, the word Egypt is Greek for what is written in the Issakosa Bible as Japheti. You see, Egypt is a Greek word used to mask that lineage of Japhet. Yeah. So if you put up my screen, you're going to see a list of the genealogy. So I can just give you a quick glance.
Wait,
into where,
Mdala. I don't know if you're not getting my question.
yeah,
I've got a simple mind, and when I'm dealing with smart people, I just wish they could be as simple as
no,
me
please.
in answering my questions, right?
I'm not smart.
I think you are. I am asking now, the Pharaoh referred to in 47:1 of Jeremiah,
Yes. Yes.
who smote Gaza, is it a person that is traveling in whatever year, thousands of years ago, from that kingdom, ruling
From Egypt.
and destroying this kingdom in the south? Is
Yes.
that the case? Okay.
Yes.
How are they ruling over this region in the south? The reason why I'm asking this, I'm gonna go to what people usually raise when we talk of these things. They say the then known world, which we now know as the Middle East or called the Middle East, was once ruled or conquered by the Romans. Now, if you say these Gaza, these places, were part of the Roman Empire, are you telling me that the Romans were ruling over the people in the south? Is there evidence of these Romans here in the south during those thousands of years ago?
Yeah.
Do you get my
there is.
question? Do you get my
Yes, I
question?
get the
It's not my
question.
question, it's questions coming from people
Let me keep
in
it as
comments.
simple. Let me keep it as simple as this. The concept or the understanding that Africa during this time of the empires that existed on the continent of Africa, which is the Babylonian Empire, the Assyrian Empire, the Egyptian Empire, if the concept given by Europeans is adhered to, you will think that this place was jungles and that you had to use machete chopping tracks to get to places. There was highway from Egypt to Cape Town.
What?
Ha, right. So let me help you.
Let me get ready for being educated now. We are going somewhere. Thank you.
No,
Let's go to that.
Good. So I'm going to type in Gaza here, wagons.
You added a D at the end.
No, wagons, yeah?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to read a little bit here. I'm going to want to read where the Pharaoh is going to talk. But I'm read Genesis 45:19, and then I'll read 21, yeah? Okay. Now thou art commanded to do ye, take you wagons out of the land of Egypt for your little ones and for your wives, and bring your father and come. And the children of Jacob did so, as Joseph gave them wagons, according to the commandment of the Pharaoh, and give them provisions for the way. And they told him, the father, all the words of Joseph, which he had said unto them. And when he saw the wagons which Joseph sent to carry him from where he was to Egypt, the spirit of Jacob, their father, revived.
Okay,
And
wait.
Jacob
I'm going to interrupt you, and I hope your people are not going to be mad at me for interrupting. There are words that you read as is. For example, Joseph, you said Joseph. But
no,
Israel, you said Jacob.
All right.
Jacob, you said Jacob. Why is that?
Because the word Israel was used to replace Jacob. You know that.
Okay.
Genesis chapter 35 or somewhere there, 32 or somewhere there, where they said that he wrestled with some angel. That's not us. We don't fight with angels.
In some versions, it says he wrestled with God. doesn't it?
He wrestled with God. Another place he said he wrestled with God. One time was an angel, and another time was with God, because you need to believe it. Because now we're telling you that this is a real change. God changed his name. An angel changed his name. You must believe. No, we don't fight with angels or with God. We don't do that. So this is one of, so the name now becomes Israel. No, put back his original name. What was his name at birth? Akobi. And let's read it. That's why I read Akobi in the space just now.
Okay,
It
let's
wasn't
go.
deliberate.
Let's go
It's
to then
automatic.
the original name. How it ended up being Jacob instead of Israel or Jacob. Why are you
If
saying
a change,
Jacob?
all right. Yeah, I can do that, but what I want to do first is answer the question
Of the
now
wagons. Okay.
as
Let's
the
go with
wagons,
that.
yeah?
Sure.
So let me just read the last verse. Verse 46 says, chapter 46, verse 5 says, and Akobi rose up from Beersheba. He was in KwaZulu Natal. And the sons of Akobi carried Akobi, not Israel, carrying Akobi. The sons of Akobi carried Akobi, their father, and their little ones, and their wives in the wagons which Pharaoh from Egypt sent to collect them and carry them to Egypt. They were driving from KwaZulu Natal to Egypt in wagons in the days of Joseph. Now, Europeans come and tell us that the continent was dark and that nobody was there, that they never find black people there when the Boers got there in 1652. But Joseph's story, which is older than that, is telling us that wagons drive.
You know what my fear is? Mdala. People are gonna mock you.
I'm up for that.
There's no evidence yet that, for example, you claim that Gera or Gerar is Harare. Now you bring another one. You say Beersheba is KwaZulu Natal.
All right. So don't let them mock me yet. Let me produce the evidence first. Put my map up there, please. Thank you. Here we go.
You are still on Something Nice with Dinano. We are hosting Mdala Nkosi. What's the third? I don't want to say it incorrectly.
Zonad. The first.
Yeah. Mdala Nkosi Zonad. And he is taking us through the scripture and history and maps, because he is a man of maps, on biblical locations that we grew up thinking are in the place called the Middle East, or the place currently known as Israel. Mdala Nkosi here is saying, no, all these things, all these places you're looking at thinking they're there, they are actually right here where I am.
Okay. I like that. I actually like that. Here we go. So Beersheba, right? Is that Durban?
Yes.
Out there?
Durban,
a European man, right? A European man.
Yeah.
Durban.
Mm.
Yeah?
Durban, I think. Mm-hmm.
It is Durban. He's British from here.
Okay.
Yeah? Like Cecil Rhodes, who became the head of Zimbabwe. Now, this is Beersheba. I didn't put this on Google Maps. This is original Beersheba.
Let's go back again. Let's go back again, because someone might say something different. How did you search it? How did you end up there?
Oh, you can do that on Google. Just same Google, like you asked me if you trust it, right? So you just put in Beersheba.
Has it always been Beersheba?
It's always been there, but we were not allowed to see these things. You see, that's why I said this.
Let me hold on, Mdala. Let me give you my screen, right? I'm sharing mine. That's why I'm saying maybe it's an algorithm thing. When I'm saying Beersheba, do you see what it's giving me?
Yeah, it said Beersheba, South Africa.
Okay.
Space, South Africa. Stop. It's there.
There it is.
Stop.
Okay.
Stop.
Interesting. But it seems like there's also another Beersheba in South Carolina. Now, playing devil's advocate. No, playing devil's advocate again.
Jerusalem, you know.
I could ask, which one came first?
No, that's fine. That's fine. So we come back to the Bible. Do we believe the Bible? The question you ask me. Was the
which you
Bible?
never answered.
I did. I said, for as much as like I identified to you, what you just did,
Mm,
you just asked me why I read Joseph and did not read Israel.
okay.
And I said, I read his original name into the space. So I'm correcting this error that they have made.
Okay. Okay.
You're not going to meet many like me that can do that. You
Okay.
see? So Israel is replacing a Kobe, our ancestor, our father,
Mm,
the father of Naphtali, the father of the grandfather of Nguni,
mm, mm, mm,
the father, the great great grandfather of Ai, Iswatini.
mm.
Yeah? So this is biblical. And you're going to find them doing this. Nobody comes back on this because that is Beersheba on Google Map.
I like
I'm
it.
going to show you
I
Jerusalem
like
just
it.
now.
I like it. Now we found Beersheba, right? We see that it's
Mm,
there. We've also seen Gaza in Mozambique. So we are going somewhere with this. And I'm appreciating the fact that you go to the scripture, you search there, you say this and this happened. I say, but no ways this is happening here. You say, yes, it was actually happening where you are. And you show me. I appreciate that. So here is where Beersheba is. You are still
yeah,
showing us. Please zoom in.
yeah. So this is Beersheba, right? It's in the Zulu land. Now this wagon was traveling from Beersheba, where we will just read, we'll read it again, and it took them to Egypt. They didn't chop nothing with machete. There is a highway that run from Egypt to. That's the northern south, the east to the south.
Was Cecil John Rhodes trying to map that highway that already existed when he was talking about a railroad from Cape to Cairo?
No, Cecil John Rhodes from England, a 17-year-old boy that came to South Africa to Kimberley or to De Beers in the Bible, the biblical De Beers, Kimberley, and say he was there to sell water to give people who were digging in the mines, and then suddenly he found some diamond that made him propelled him to now to be holding control over Zimbabwe. Who was in Zimbabwe? Black people. Europeans are taking control. This is not the first time. They've
Yeah,
been
yeah. No,
there.
I get the story, but my question could be a bit offish. I'm saying you say there was a highway
Yeah,
that
my
people
way of
used.
saying my way of saying that wagons which roll on wheels
Mm,
were able to come from Egypt
okay.
to Beersheba and fetch people back to that location because these children were up south and
Okay.
not in the Levant. You
Okay.
see? And all the evidence will point at all the biblical locations that you read about in the Bible, right, which was copied from the Bantu scrolls, are still in Africa today.
Okay.
All of them.
Okay. I think we're going to be all over the place. Now we're going back to the Bantu scrolls. Convince me that these scrolls were not found in Qumran as we are being told, right?
Uh-huh.
They are actually found in Qumra as you claim.
So the Bantu scrolls are talking to us. All right, the Dead Sea Scrolls are fragments, as they say, and they hold those fragments. And whenever they release fragments of that book, it seemed to be coinciding with what is written in the Bible.
Yeah.
And we know that Hebrew is not a biblical language. Hebrew was taken out or made up from Bantu languages because we have evidence of Bantu words, words that existed before the Hebrew language, being used prominently in the Hebrew Bible, if you want to call it like that, the Hebrew version of the Bible or the Bible as a whole. For example, words like shalom. Where is shalom coming from? What is the meaning of shalom? They say it means peace. And then, which language said there was a word that means peace before this Hebrew came about by the Eastern Europeans, the Hebrew Israelites? Salam. You hear the Arabs say it. Assalamu alaikum.
Mm-mm.
Peace be upon you. Salam is the word Salem, a location. which a prominent biblical man lived, named Melchizedek, who is grandfather Shem.
Take us there. Show us. But
So
continue
you
with
live
your
in,
story. Okay, let me get it for you, but continue with the story.
So Salem is in Namibia, and Melchizedek lived there in the latter days of his life because he moved this way when Abraham came and lived up south, his great-great-grandson. Now Shem is a great-great-grandfather of Abraham.
Okay, hold on.
Was living.
Let me just take them there, bit by bit. I don't want us to rush this. You say Salem, an ancient city. Are you saying the greeting shalom?
Yes.
And salam,
it's a
derivative
yes.
of this. Okay. It says in the Bible, Salem is an ancient city best known as the place where Melchizedek, as you said, the great priest, right? A king and priest lived. It is often associated with the concept of peace, as Salem is derived from the Hebrew word shalom. Wow. Is Google spying on us? Or do you really know your story? It could be one of the
Google.
two.
I have taught Google. I have taught Google.
Okay.
That's why the AI is there. The AI is damaging them now because it's learning from what we're teaching here and it's connecting the dots.
And people can be easily convinced because everyone says, Google it, right? Now, if what we always want to refer to is seemingly affirming what you're saying, I'm sure even the doubters are beginning to become convinced. But now, let's challenge you on your claim that Salem is not there.
Here now, I never did what you did. I'm watching you for the first time do that. I don't know it like that. You see, Salem means peace. And Melchizedek, or grandfather Shem, is the king of peace. He's the priest of Sunini Nanini. And he's got to be located in Sunini's land. And Sunini's mountain, Mount Sinai, is right in that same land, Namibia. And he's like the foot of the mountain. Salem. See, Salem is the introduced, and I call it in my teachings, the genetic modifier of the word Salem, the Hebrew letter H. H for Hebrew, I use it as the genetic modifier. That's a revelation I got to use it, yeah? So you put in the word H inside Salem, S-H-A-L, and you change out the E for a O, and you get Shalom, and you say it's biblical. It's biblical because it was before you got there and changed it and genetically altered it. And I get that because of what they did with me here in the UK. I know how they do the altars. So I can follow the ways that they behave. I hope you understand.
I'm not sure if I do. But
right.
Let's go to Salem. You said Salem is here in Namibia, correct?
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. That's what you said, right?
If you put my map up and they'll see me do it, and then they can follow it.
Cool.
S-A-L-E-M. See there? Salem. Let's see where that is.
West.
Just opposite Windhoek.
Okay. Just zoom in there, please, Mdala. And maybe show the layers so that we can see if it's a city, what type of settlement is it? Yeah.
It looks like what it was back then in that day, I don't even know. But this is and there's reason why.
Let me be a skeptic and also search it on my side, okay? Let me be a skeptic and also search it on my side. Salem.
Yeah.
Namibia. Because here with this one, I'm trying to convince the doubters. Salem map Namibia, Erongo, Google. It's taking a while to load. Okay, let me just search for it.
And I hope that people are doing it at home as well.
Yes. So you must do it on your side too, as you're watching and listening. Let me just go to maps here. Maps, Salem in the Bible. But I need to say Salem in
Check out
Namibia. Ne?
Namibia.
Salem,
Yes.
okay, there's a Salem church, Salem, Namibia.
Keep your eyes up. It's up there already.
Okay, there's also Salem Street in Windhoek.
Oh, there are going to be loads of Salem all over.
Okay.
But it has to be proximity in the Bible connecting the story.
Okay. So you've managed to show us three locations that are spoken of in the Bible that are also existing in Africa today. You have shown us Beersheba, which you say it's in KwaZulu Natal. Let's drop the Natal in KwaZulu.
No, I'll tell you why it is Natal too.
Okay. You have also showed us Gaza, which I had doubts on, which is in Mozambique. And now you have showed us Salem, which is here in Namibia. It's just there it is. It's called Salem. It's in Namibia. View details. It looks like a place with just rocks. Okay, but it is there.
Layers of history you're dealing with here now. We're dealing with layers of history.
Oh, cool.
You see?
No. I'm not dismissing or belittling you saying that this might be the Salem that is spoken of regarding Melchizedek. But now that we're in Namibia, I know this is an important part in you locating some of these biblical places. You spoke of Mount Sinai, did you?
Yes, I did.
And I think you are suggesting that it is also in Namibia. Is it?
Yes, it is.
Can we go there?
Let me see if I can do this because I want to tie up properly the conversation of Salem
and Melchizedek.
And Melchizedek. Let me just put that up there. Salem, SALEM, and then it brings up Melchizedek. You see, I'm going to take you to Genesis chapter 14 to read a little bit of story from the Bible there.
Thank you.
I've just highlighted that, and I'm going to bring you here to look what is sitting in front of you there now in South Africa, Bila Bila. Very
they tried to change it to wombats.
Don't worry.
You know, they tried to change it to wombats, but we said, hell no, we'll rename it Bila Bila.
No, is it? You know what? It's warm bath is the Germans. They're talking about the fact that the springs, the hot water springs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's in the scriptures where it says that I think it was Caleb's daughters asked for that spring up there. But Lot was out there as well. But let's go here.
But let's go to this Bila word, what it means in my language, right? Because we also need to teach people what these languages mean. It's called Bila Bila. I don't know if it's related to the language that I speak, isiXhosa. But ukubila in isiXhosa means boiling.
Oh, whoa. Boiling water. It's boiling springs.
Yes. So ukubila, iyabila, you say, light kettle, switch on the kettle. And then a few minutes later, the parent will say, Aikabili, ibilile, iyabila. So that means boiling.
It's boiling.
Yeah. So I just provide context to that.
No, what you just have done to me there is you cement the fact that this is also cultural and geographic, because you don't get to use that word and warm bath just loosely like that. Those who got there, the Germans, right? And those who speak Afrikaans that produce that word, they are identifying a physical or geographic location there where the water was boiling. That is not in the Levant. Show me Bila Bila in the Levant. None way. All right, here we go.
You keep saying Levant. What's Levant?
The Levant is Israel, land of Israel.
Okay.
All right, here we go. So I'm reading a story what happened here. And Abraham heard that his brother's son was taken captive.
Hold on. There might be people who might be listening to the audio version of this. So let's just give them where we're reading from. Is it Genesis 14 verse 14?
We're reading from Genesis chapter 14. I'm going to pick up the reading from verse 13 to give context, yeah?
Okay.
So in 13, it says, verse 13, it says, and there came one that had escaped and told Abram, and I'm skipping the word Hebrew, yeah? And
Okay.
came and told Abram, for he dwell in the plains of Mamre, that's in Cape Town, and in Mamre, the Amorite. Now the Amorite had a brother named Eshcol and another brother named Anir. These are the children of Canaan from Amori, the Amorite. And these were confederates or friends with Abram. And when you take off the screen, I was reading live here. And
Sorry.
Abram heard, yes, that's fine. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken, or his brother's son really, was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318 men, and pursued them unto Dan. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants, by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto a place called Horba, which is on the left side of Damascus. Just I'll leave that as well. Horba is the place, a place known as Horba, right?
Yeah.
Drop the H from it and you'll get the spelling Hoba. The local people might say Horba, Goba, right? Anyhow, we continue. And he brought back all the goods and also brought again his brother's son, which is Lot, his brother's, not his brother's, his nephew, and his goods and the women also that had been there. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him. So Sodom is in that vicinity, southern Africa. Meet him when he returned from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer. I'll explain who he was, and the kings that were with him in the valley of Shavet, well, whatever it is there, which is the king's dale. And this is the part. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High. And he, Ibukun, I'm using the word that replaces Biles, him or increased him or praised him and said, praise be Abram, the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. And praise be the Most High Samandla, which had delivered thine enemies into thine hand. And he gave him a tithe. So the story is telling us here that when Abram was coming back from what he went to do, he met in Salem a man named Melchizedek, which I tell you is grandfather Shem. I didn't need to read the book of Jubilees or Jesher to know, because those are the books that were excluded, tell you that Melchizedek is grandfather Shem. Right?
Yeah.
Salem. Now, where did Abraham go? Where is Horba? Type in your Google.
Okay.
Horba.
Hoba.
Yeah, or you could type in this word here, Grootfontein. Grootfontein. This is some German, some German word just above Windhoek there.
Why now are we not?
You can put it. Horba is going to come up. Horba is the meteorites that were found at Grootfontein. That's what I want to show you.
Grootfontein. Okay, big fontaine.
Yeah.
Groot Fontaine.
Groot. For me, I can't do that.
It's fine. Grootfontein.
Yeah.
Let's see what it brings up on my side. Yeah, Grootfontein, Namibia.
And scroll down to the pictures. You're going to see this, the picture that I'm posting here right now.
Okay, let me just share your screen then.
You see this? You what I post there in Grootfontein?
Mm-hmm.
That is the Horba meteorite. You ever heard about it?
I've never heard of it. Should I just search for Horba meteorite?
Yes. So this Horba meteorite is a stone that is claimed to fell out of the heavens in the Bible.
Okay. So let me show my screen. There it is. I'm trying to search for Horba meteorite, and it's saying Horba meteorite, Grootfontein, Namibia.
Click it.
Okay, let's click on that.
There you got the same picture with me.
Mm-hmm.
And just read a little bit what it said in the bottom there and the good fontaine,
Yeah.
the meteorite.
It's a tourist attraction. Where are we? Okay, let me go to you. Should I go to your screen? Let me go to your screen.
Yeah, it's the same thing you're gonna get. They
Yeah,
say
yeah,
now it's
yeah.
a tourist, but it's a place where I just read from the Bible that
Okay.
Abraham defeated those kings that came from the east to raid the south. They come from Egypt side to raid up south, which they
Mm-hmm.
do very often. And among them was a man that you know, a man named Nimrod. Another name for
Yes.
Nimrod is Amraphel.
And if I'm not mistaken, this could be the first reference to an African, we are told in the Bible. Well, in the European or the Eurocentric version of the story of the Bible.
Okay. So Harbor is a
Hold on,
place
hold
where,
on, hold on. Before
okay,
you
you
go
say the
forward,
thing.
would you agree with me? Nimrod
The Nimrod?
is an African?
Nimrod is in Africa. Babylon is in Africa.
Okay,
Babylon is on the east side of the Nile.
okay.
And Egypt is on the west side, opposite Memphis.
And as I'm saying, is this now according to Eurocentric Christianity or Eurocentric interpretation of the Bible? Nimrod is said to be the first African mentioned.
But where is this place? Where is Babylon?
No. I'm not saying it's not where you say it is, Mdala. I'm saying from the Christian understanding and background I come from of
Yeah.
Eurocentrism. Nimrod is said to be the first African. Doesn't he appear around the time of the Tower of Babylon? Of Babel, sorry.
That's the same man.
Yes. Okay.
But you see, the problem with Europeans and why we need to take what they're saying with a pinch of salt, they say he's the first black man, right? In the Bible.
That's my understanding. That is the first African.
So
Yeah.
so who is his daddy? His daddy had to be a black man. His father's name is Cush.
Okay.
His father's name is Cush
Okay.
from Nubia, East Africa.
Okay. I agree with you. I
And
understand.
he built.
But I just wanted
he
to
built in
add
his-
that asterisk that with the Eurocentric version of the understanding of the Bible, that's what they say. Yes, carry on with what you were saying.
the same man. So Melchizedek, when Abraham was returning after he defeated these people and took back everything, he was bringing Lot and the others back up south to South Africa, and coming out to meet him in. If you put up my screen the scripture again, because I like to put the scripture there. In verse 18, it says, Melchizedek, the king of Salem in Namibia, brought forth bread and wine. He was the priest of the Most High. What is he doing in
You are
Salem?
slotting in these parts yourself now. You're saying Namibia.
No.
Didn't see Namibia there.
You saw Salem.
Okay. So
You saw Salem.
So you
And-
inserted Namibia. Okay.
And Melchizedek, king of Salem,
Mm-hmm.
and I show you Salem in the Bible on the map, Google map.
Mm-hmm.
Salem in Namibia brought forth bread and wine to give Abraham when he was coming back after he slaughtered those kings at Hoba in Namibia. You see the proximity of this story? He came out to rejoice with his great grandson.
Where was he coming from?
With Abraham.
Where
He
was
was coming from Grootfontein, where the meteorite is.
Going to?
Oba, coming back from. He was now coming back. He's going up to South Africa, back where he come from. He's going back to Cape Town. Capernaum.
Whoa.
I messed you up. I'm sorry.
You are messing me up. And
I'm so sorry.
okay. Before we go to Capernaum being Cape Town, ne? You said we must take note of Chedolamur. I don't know how to say this. But before we go there, let's scrutinize this claim that Hoba is in Namibia. Say it is in Namibia, as you say. Left hand of Damascus. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I see that. It can't fit. You see,
What?
that's where the problem is.
Okay. What do you mean it can't fit when it's being said in the book?
Well, I have not been able to find left side of Damascus, right?
No, no, no,
Up
no,
to now.
no. It is said that Hoba is on the left side of Damascus, which would mean that
Aha.
Hoba is. Hey, I don't want to go to what do you call this thing now? I don't want to go to the campus and directions according to how we know
Eh.
them today. So
So
let's
that's
just
how
say
we're
the
gonna know
left
where's
hand
left
side,
side.
right? But they say this place should be on the left hand side of Damascus. So Damascus must be on the right of Hoba. Where's Damascus that is
Eh.
spoken of
So,
in that
so,
scripture?
so, like I said, I have not been able to locate that Damascus. I know where the biblical Damascus is.
Where is it?
That is in Nigeria.